it's time to take these pumpkins off because now the vines have gone brown, and that's the end of it. That one is still green, but it's only a little one anyway. So I'm going to take the last of the pumpkins. Now this one is a good size, but these really didn't do very much. I think they're supposed to be a butternut, but they weren't supposed to be this small. That's too small. By the time you've peeled it and taken the seeds out, there'll be nothing left. So those two are a disappointment. But I've had some of the big ones that I've already picked, so I'll finish these. Right, I'm cutting them a fair bit away from the... So I'll get rid of this bit of bindweed. And once these are left to cure for a while, they will be fine. I mean, this one is still going, but really not much point keeping that. But yeah, once they are cured, they'll be fine. Just leave them on the windowsill and the sun and they'll cure. I might as well take these. I mean, I'll only get a mouthful out of these two, but this is something. And the courgettes are still going great guns. Ow! Should wear gloves when picking courgettes. I mean, that one's got huge, but I'll pick these. That's today's pumpkin and courgette harvest. I'm amazed that they're still producing. It's the middle of October almost, and the courgettes are still producing. They've still got some small ones on there, so I took these off so the other ones could develop. Obviously this one was a disappointment, this butternut squash. The crown prince have done well. I've got some others sitting on the windowsill, so these will join them. And that is a jack-o'-lantern. So everything's done well apart from that butternut squash. Right, well, I can pull the plants out, sort this bed out, and in November I'll put some field beans in here, see if the mice will eat them. These actually worked quite well the way I did it this year. So these actually work quite well, both for watering and feeding. But I think next year I'll improve it by putting a drip irrigation in here that I can water and feed. But we'll deal with that later. So let's pull these out. In fact, I haven't decided yet, but I might be building a trellis over this bed during the winter, so I may just put stuff on here like all the pumpkin leaves and things. I let them rot down and not bother with the field beans, because if I'm going to be building the trellis, I don't want to be planting field beans and then walking all over it. So I'll leave that till next year. I think I'll just compost stuff on top of it. I'm not actually pulling anything out. What I'm going to do is leave all the pumpkin vines on the bed. They'll eventually die off and rot down over winter. So all the ones I've got all over the place, I can just do it. And all I'll do is dig up this clump of grass, just turn it upside down, that'll rot down. Now these thistles, obviously they haven't got seeds on them, so they'll just rot down once I put the leaves on. And anything like this dandelion that's growing on the edge of the bed, I can just pull, which I'm not going to get the root, but the leaves will rot down and put the nutrients back into the bed. And by a stroke of good planning, I put that lot right next to this bed. So this was all sort of green. You can see the stuff underneath is still green, but the top stuff is dried. So that's going to go on top of this. You see, as I spread this on, here's actually got quite a lot of green in it. It's all leaves, and these will go, and over the course of the winter, and next year they'll break down. That's this bed covered with leaves, and it will obviously rot down over winter. It won't be fully composted, but it'll be good enough for next year, because nothing's going in here till end of May, early June next year, depending on the weather, so it's got time to rot down a bit. One of the new plot holders was having a clear out, and they didn't want this old square composter, but it'll be perfect for blanching rhubarb. It's got some bits missing, but obviously I can just put something to cover these holes, a bit of roofing tile or something. It is good, because I was going to use Dalek for blanching rhubarb, but I only need it for like 3 months, and then the rest of the time it's sitting around doing nothing, taking up space, whereas this can be folded away and doesn't take up much space, so it's perfect for that job. And here's another piece that nobody wanted. It's a corrugated bit of metal roofing, which will be perfect for using on top of the compost bins, so that's going to be useful. This back area of the plot has got really overgrown because I wasn't going to do anything with it, so I just left it and didn't really have time to do anything back here. These pallets are going to go and be used to build compost bins at the back. Now that the summer is over and I've got a little bit more time, I can get on and clear this area. And this apple tree is going to go because it needs a lot of support, and it's producing tiny little apples that don't taste very nice. And because it's not the main stem, it's the side shoot that's wobbly, there's no point trying to graft onto that, so it's got to go. These Jerusalem artichokes are done now. They're starting to go yellow, and it's just cut them at the base. And just leave them and then harvest them anytime I want from now on, really. But I'll probably pick them when the other root crops are done. Right, I'm harvesting coffee leaves. And dock leaves. Don't put the bindweed in. But these dock leaves are fine. These pots had potatoes in it, so I'm going to refresh them by adding a mulch of dock and comfrey leaves, and over winter this will all rot down. The worms will go through and churn this up, and they will mix that into their compost. So these are fairly evenly. So what I'm going to do is just put them on top of the other. And then top of the top one, just put a piece of metal just to hold it in place. Rain can soak in, worms can come up, and they'll work that into the compost over the winter. And when I come to using it next year, what I will do, just add a bit of fish blood and bone, and it's had a bit of new organic material added in with all the minerals. It didn't take long to clear that back area, so I've just got to deal with what I left last year and didn't get done. Was all these stumps lying about. Now, this thing is like about a good 80 centimeters high. I mean, I could try and cut it at the base, or I could just try and burn the whole thing. You know, there's these little stumps here, there and everywhere. And that trick of putting a clay pot on top of a stump seems to have worked, because it's not come up. Mind you, that one didn't succeed because what was on top of it fell off. So there is some merit in what I was trying to do, but obviously that one wasn't successful, because you can see it's come through where the pot actually cracked, so that's not good. But this one worked, so I could try it with this one and that one, but I haven't got a pot big enough for that one. So I think I'll just burn this. And the next job is to take down these two potato beds and prepare this one for being a garlic bed, and build this one up and fill it up so this can become a raised bed. This one won't be a raised bed this year, so I'll just use it for garlic. So any wood chips that are in here will go into that bed, and then I'll just add some fresh leaves that I've already got prepared So this stuff, which is a lot of leaves and some woody bits. So once I've planted the garlic, I'll mulch with this, and then that should see it through the winter. Right, today's job is to go through this higgledy-piggledy raspberry patch and sort through and find the ones that are fruiting now. So these are the autumn fruiting ones, and I want to save a few of these. All the summer fruiting ones can be grubbed out. It's windy and you won't be able to hear a thing I say, so I'll not film that. Well, I've thinned out these raspberries and I've marked the autumn fruiting ones, and I've cut everything else out. So once these go dormant, I can dig them up and move them. I've also got a blackcurrant bush here and another one there, plus a gooseberry, but the gooseberry is going to go. I think these two blackcurrants will go to the other plot. It's a good healthy plant, but here the birds just don't leave a single currant on it. It's very difficult to actually try and get one without netting it, so I'm going to put it all in the fruit cage on the other plot. Right, the next job is to take down these two beds, because this one is going to be the garlic bed and I'm going to plant the garlic today. So I've got to take them down, take all the chippings that are on this bed and throw them over onto this one and plant the garlic. Now that I've taken the boards at this end off, I've just got to take off this pallet. So there's a few weeds on the edges, but I can quickly sort those out. It's a bit more difficult trying to get to this back end because this thing has just taken over, and there's brambles and nettles and all sorts in there, so that's going to slow me down. I'll cut this. This thing is okay and it's got flowers on it, but it grows like a weed. So I'm just going to cut a little bit so I can get to the back here and actually take this piece apart. Now I can get to the back end and get these corners and this piece out. This weed fabric was to keep the sunlight out. It worked for that, but unfortunately it didn't keep the rats out. So that's a design flaw I need to rectify in the next version. I'm going to make these solid and taller so the rats can't get in. Right, the robins here inspecting. The technique of using these bottles to water deep down into the potatoes, it sort of worked, but there were a few rotten potatoes, and I think that's because they were close to the bottles and the wood chips around there stayed really damp and the potatoes rotted. So I'm not going to do that. See if he comes out. No, he's still camera shy. So I don't think I'll do that again. I think it will have to be a drip line for the potatoes. Right, I've shifted those bottles out of the way. Oh, there's the robin. Where I've shifted the bag, you might be able to see the robin. There we go. So I've shifted those, and I'll take this bed apart as well. It's the same as the other one, so I'm not going to record that. But that plant is really, really annoying because it just grows so much and so fast. Right, these two beds are done and cleared, and I've taken all the wood chips that were on this bed and put them over there on that bed, and this bag of weeds will go later, but I don't need this bed till later, so they can sit there. But for the moment I need to sort this bed out and get the garlic in. I bought some fresh cloves. I've also got some of last year's in here to replant, but most of my elephant garlic just didn't split. You can feel ridges on it, but it just didn't split. Only one actually split into cloves, but the others are all like this. So I'm going to plant these, and hopefully they'll re-sprout and split this year. Well, they're supposed to anyway. We'll see what happens. But I think possibly last year, because I put it in and mulched it, and I might have put it in too deep, and with the mulch on top of it, it just kept it warm and it just didn't get cold enough. The other garlic wasn't in as deep, and that split fine. So I'm not going to bury them as deep as I did last year. But it's grim and it's starting to rain, so I won't record me actually putting the garlic in.